Let's go to Kristen in Columbus, Ohio. What's up, Kristen?
Hi, John. How are you?
I was going to say dancing on the ceiling, but Lionel Richie owns that line, so I'm just hanging out here. What's up?
So I'm calling because I have a daughter who will be 18 on Friday.
Congratulations, and may the force be with
you. Yes.
And
she suffers from pretty extreme anxiety in all areas.
Cool.
Social,
all
test
of it.
Anxiety, all of it.
Yeah.
So she's getting ready to graduate high school and go off to college in the fall, and she is going away to school, away from home. And I'm looking for some strategies, the best way to help her deal with the anxiety as she transitions into this next life phase.
I love it. Great questions. All right, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions, okay?
Sure.
Question number one, where did she learn this? Is there somebody in your home that struggles with anxiety? Do you wrestle with it? Where did she pick that up as a coping strategy?
Both her dad and I have struggled with anxiety and depression.
Okay. What does it look like for her? When she's spun out, what does that look like?
She will get very angry, very emotional, break out in tears, sometimes emotionally shut down. It's kind of a variety, but it's usually an extreme shutdown, don't want to deal with it, or yell, lash out, get angry, cry.
Okay.
Kind of those extremes.
Where did she, how many of those behaviors are from home too? And again, this isn't an indictment. I'm just trying to get a full picture of her.
Oh, no, absolutely. I cry pretty easily.
Okay. I do too. I cry at gas station commercials, so I'm with you.
And there's been a significant amount of yelling in the home over the years.
Okay. All right. Does she know, have you and your husband individually, not together, because that can be overwhelming, have the two of you ever taken her out and just said, hey, here's my story, here's my journey with anxiety, with depression?
Yes.
How did that go?
She gets pretty defensive.
Okay.
And reacts more like, you don't understand what I'm going through.
Okay.
It's different for me.
She's 17. That's right. I mean, yeah, that's...
Exactly.
Yeah. That's developmentally appropriate response.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've been there too. I've seen a cute boy too. You don't understand. Yeah, okay, all right. So, see your old half-balding dad with the rim? Like, he used to be really handsome back in... Anyway, but yeah, that's appropriate. So, has your husband done that?
He has, and again, I love him. He's supportive. He's an all-in dad, but we do approach it, I think, very differently.
Okay.
And he is more of I'll talk to her. She'll get through it. I don't want to add to the stress by calling out the behavior. So I don't want to say it's an avoidance type of behavior, but his is more of, I'll talk through it with her and give her my advice, and then we'll see if it changes.
All right. So you may have, if you listen to the show for any length of time, you may have heard me tell this story, but I was doing a practicum with a child psychologist, and I had a young son, and I was asking him, hey, what are some things I could tell my son? We had just dealt with a really messy issue with the youngster, and the young kid said some really awful things about women, and he was like, the kid was 4, so clearly he'd picked this up. And I had a young son too, and so I was using this kid as a proxy for my own kid, and I said, what are you supposed to tell a kid to help him, like, respect women? And he said that Dr. Gomez smiled at me, and he said, and you can tell them anything you want. They're not going to listen to you. If you want them to treat your wife right, if you want him to respect women, then treat your wife right. Because kids, here's the magic quote, kids don't listen to you, they watch you. And so y'all can call out your daughter's behaviors all day long. Don't act like that. I can't believe you're throwing this temper tantrum. You don't talk like that to people in this house. You can do that all day long. But if the house is filled with chaos or anxiety or yelling, that is the roadmap that your daughter has been given to how to handle stress, how to handle hard things. And so often when people say, how do I deal with the anxiety? How my kids got anxiety? What can I do for them? I tell them, fix your marriage. And that's usually where a lot of that stuff starts. Not always. There's medical issues, all kind of stuff, but your willingness to be honest is really helpful here. So let me fast forward to, I spent 20 years, 17 years, I don't know how, a long time, almost 2 decades working with college kids in this exact world, right? So tell me about her academic success.
She's almost a straight A student.
Okay.
I think she's gotten 1 A- in her 4 years of high school.
How dare her? What a failure. Did she cry over it? Did she weep?
No, but
Okay.
she brings it up every so often of,
Okay.
I don't have a perfect record because of this.
Do you have other kids?
And I have a son who's 2 years older.
How are his grades?
He's more of a B+ student.
Okay.
So, and his was, I'll do the best I can. If it's not an A, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
He was more accepting.
A lot of kids with anxiety are performers. They have a very attentive radar for other people watching out for what they're doing right and wrong. And either they are trying to control other people's emotions in the house because that's one of the jobs they've been given. For instance, hey, don't say that, Dad's going to get really mad. Or your father doesn't like whatever. Or mom loses her crap when this happens, so don't. And so kids feel like it's my job to perform in whatever way so that mom and dad don't have to have their outbursts. And that rattles a kid's body. It makes kids anxious. It makes adults anxious, right? When they're responsible for their bosses or for their spouse's behaviors, right? So often straight A's, and one of the challenges with academics is straight A's looks like my kid's successful. But really, they have learned if I can do this, it avoids that, right? And often, This is going to sound bonkers, kids who get into drugs, kids who get into sleeping around a lot, kids who get into straight A's, the behaviors are different, but the intent is the same. I need connection. I need somebody to see me. I need to avoid, right? They're all avoidant. If I get straight A's, mom and dad leave me alone. So is that her? And again, I'm using part of this to teach to the audience too. Is that her? Is straight A's keep y'all off her back? Or is that where she finds esteem? Or is she just a really smart kid who loves cranking it out?
I think she's really smart, and I think that's where she finds her self-esteem.
Okay. So she's got a picture of success here. Okay. So
yes.
I'll give you some hard truths and some reality truths. Is that cool?
Yes.
What is, give me a picture of her college. Fancy pants, private school, fancy pants, state school. Like, what is she leaving the state? Where's she going? You don't have to tell me the name of the school.
No, it's a 4-year private school. It's a Catholic university, and it's as far on the east coast of Ohio, the east end of Ohio, as she can get without getting out of the state.
Okay. So she's doing a classic 7-year-old running away, which is, I'm running away all the way to the backyard, right? Okay.
And she, again, did get some pretty significant scholarships for this particular school.
Okay.
But that's what it is. It's a Catholic faith-based university.
Okay.
About 2.5 hours from home.
Okay. So an anxious and often, not always, but often depressed brain in a child especially, is a disconnected brain. So if I'm sending my kid 2 hours away, I'm going to and she's got clinically diagnosed anxiety, clinically diagnosed depression, right? This isn't just she stresses out, but this is a challenge. For sure, I'm going to check with the student's disabilities office and make sure she's got the support resources she needs. I'm making sure she's got somebody to call if things get heavy. The second thing is, I am, as a parent, and this can be helicopter, I don't care, I will make sure that she is at least plugged in with the student counseling center. Now, they can't call you. They can't tell you unless she's suicidal, which hopefully she never gets there. They can't tell you she's going to sessions. They can't do any of that stuff, okay? But making sure there's a contact. And when I worked in those positions, I would get emails from parents and I would forward them onto the counseling center, and the counseling center proactively reaches out to the student. So it is not weird or odd or anything like that for parents to reach out and say, my kids struggled with this forever. I want to put them on your radar on day one. That's actually really helpful for the school. okay? Even for the Residence Life program, if you want to have that conversation. I will tell you, picking a kid up from everything they know and setting them in a brand new environment is tough. Their brain is going to say, hey, whoa, we're super disconnected now. And so really encouraging her to get plugged in with student activities, whether that's with clubs and organizations or whatever. Encourage. Even if it's, you've got to get involved in 2 things here, or I'm not sending any more money for whatever, right? And that's what I would do with my kids. I would make a financial incentive. You have to get plugged in with Future Nursing Association of America or the future medical students or the future engineers or whatever she's going to do. You got to get involved in that group or my money stops. Because I know the psychology, you've got to get involved in something. And here's the last one. No matter what, don't let her live by herself in a private room, especially the first year. Especially. She got to have a roommate. Here's why. If you have a private room, the only reason to leave your room is to leave the building. And there's not what I call accidental community. You have to run into people who are using the bathroom, who are coming and going. You have to learn to manage that. And that person, even if they're annoying and they drive you crazy, that person becomes an anchor for you, or at least gives you something to talk about to somebody else. But that person becomes a checkpoint. Hey, where were you last night? And that kind of accountability, that kind of, hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going? What's up? And I was a loudmouth, brash, long-haired idiot who was into punk rock and metal from Houston. And my roommate was a short, kind theater major from rural Kansas. You could not have picked 2 more crazy random people. And ultimately, he was in my wedding and I was in his. And he is the guy who takes care of my investments now out in Colorado Springs. So, and him and he came and stayed with me last year. So all I have to say is, there's a lot of decisions to be made as you move into these relationships. But under no circumstances would I send a kid who I know has clinical anxiety and depression and say, you should live by yourself in a box 2.5 hours away and deal with the academic stress and rigor alone. That's a recipe for disaster. Okay.
And she's self-aware enough that she even said that. She said, I'd love to have a private room, but I know I need to have a roommate.
Beautiful. That's awesome. All right. So here's the last thing I want to recommend. I want you to not talk about her anxiety or depression. I want you to talk about, man, I want you to take her out and just have mom's breakfast, mom's lunch, mom's dinner. And until she leaves, I want you to make once a week thing. I've recommended this to parents for years. Once a week, you got to come out for me for a meal. I'll take you to school or whatever. You'll go to school on your own. I don't know, whatever it is. Saturday mornings or whatever are our time. And I'm going to tell you some things I wish I had done differently. And we're going to talk about you, Mom. You know what? I wish I hadn't yelled so much in the house. I avoided my anxiety for a long, long time. I wish I hadn't done that. Ugh. I'm sorry. I'm really working on my yelling. And I'm actually starting to see a counselor now. I don't know if I told you that, but I'm starting to do that now. I want you to spend some time talking about you, telling stories about when you were in college, when you were young, when you had kids, when you were scared, and all those things. Here's what it's going to do. It's going to humanize your journey. We call it social norming. She's going to realize she's not crazy, that her experiences, other people have had them. And she's going to build a connection with you and a relationship with you that hopefully will translate into a once a week, you'll write her a letter when she's in college. You will connect with her in college, et cetera. You'll keep this line open, not an everyday texting mom about everything line, but a communication line. So she's going to be way out there, but she's going to have an anchor point at home. And it's not an anchor point on, you better get your crap. It's an anchor point on, I love you and I've been there too. Very few things heal an anxious heart like, I love you, I'm with you, and I've been there too.